thing for you. So the first thing that you need to do to prepare yourself to be a great designer is you need to be inspired. You need to find inspiration. So I'll tell you a story about this for me. When I was working at Microsoft still, I went to a really cool conference called Flash in the Can. Has anybody been to that conference? A couple of people maybe? It's awesome. And not a Microsoft conference, but an awesome conference nonetheless. And I would definitely recommend going there if you want to be inspired. But I came back from that conference, and I remember I had this moment. I was sitting on the plane, and I came back like just with this passion and like this feeling about what I had seen there. And it was, you know, maybe one of the first big exposures that I'd had to kind of what was going on with digital design. And I was sitting on the plane, and I wanted to make something. Like I just had this like creative energy. And so I started writing down ideas. And I spent a long time on the plane like coming up with these ideas. And at the end of it, I started thumbing through these pages, and I looked at the number of ideas that I had come up with, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, and the thought that I had is, wow, like look how much my thinking has expanded by being exposed to that stuff, right? So this is the moment that you're looking for when you're trying to look for inspiration. Is this moment where you feel kind of this passion and you feel this thing that's happening inside of you. And this is a thing I've always believed in, but I came across this quote the other day from a guy called Frank Chimero, who is an awesome illustrator. Do you guys know him? I heard a clap. He's awesome. Frank Chimero is, look him up because he's awesome. I've said that 4 times, but it's true. He said this: passion is the currency of creativity. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. This is something I believe deeply. If you want to be a great designer, you need to live like a designer. And what that means is you need to be looking for things. You need to consume the world, right? You need to attack the world and look at everything that you see from a design perspective. Think about the decisions that people are making and why they're making them. Honestly, I don't think there's a replacement for that when you're looking for inspiration. That said, there are lots of places that you can go to find it. And to be honest with you, this is just a partial list. I mean, these are just, what I did is I went through a file that I had where I keep all the projects that I've worked on, basically my project archive. And I looked, and I just came up with thoughts about where I'd found inspiration for the different projects. And this is the list that I came up with. One of the interesting ones, inspiration file. I keep a thing called my inspiration file, or a morgue file is what a lot of designers call it. It's basically just a place where if you see something cool, you drop it in there, right? I've got like, I don't know, like 4,000 images or something in there. The other one is objects and textures in my bottom drawer. There's this drawer in our bedroom where we kind of put everything. And it's like, we call it the junk drawer, and you just drop stuff in there. So it's got like baseball cards and bouncy balls, and I've got 3 kids, so all kinds of weird stuff that they find or remove from the drawer, from the junk drawer. I go in there and I start playing with things. That's a great place to go to find inspiration. But the point, I guess, of this is that you're going to begin to find inspiration all around you, and that will make you a great designer. So when we were designing the book project, the first thing that I did is I began thumbing through this file that I had, as well as like going out to the internet looking for things that felt like reading to me, right? Felt like the kind of book reader that I wanted to create. I came up with a couple of pages of this. I just chose 2. I chose these 2, though, because these have elements that actually made their way into the design. So you can see like the shelf of books ended up becoming the shelf of books that we use in the library. The colors we took from the Penguin book that you can see there. Here's another one. It's got another Penguin book. For a long time, when I first started the designs on this, it was all blue. And I'd gotten that from this awesome book called How to Be a Graphic Designer Without Losing Your Soul. Also, there's that page turn. That was the source of inspiration for that little bookmark thing that we end up having. So this is a document that a lot of designers call, this is a very loose interpretation of this, but a mood board. The idea is that you begin to compile scraps, basically, things that create the mood for the thing that you're trying to build, right? This is a really, really great way, I think, to formalize your inspirational thinking, so to speak. Okay. Design attack move number 2 is identify the theme. So here, you know what I'm going to do? I wonder if I can scoot this over at all. I feel like I'm wandering back and forth there. Okay. So, if you've seen the workshop that I gave, or if you saw it yesterday, this will be a repeat for you. But I think it's the best way to explain what a theme is. So there's this book called On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I'm sure that many, many of you have read it. I read this book when I was 13, so you'll forgive me if I'm taking a little license in my description of the book. But as I remember the book, it didn't have a really strong plot, right? It felt like a whole bunch of vignettes that kind of wandered around. And those vignettes are wonderful, though, right? I actually loved this book when I read it. It was probably I think I read it in, I was older, I was probably like 17. I read it in AP English. And it was my favorite book that I read that year. That's what I was going to tell you. But the thing that's interesting about it is that it doesn't have a strong plot. The thing that you take away from that book is not a plot, it's not necessarily a story, it's a feeling, right? It's a bunch of vignettes, and you remember little details, but now, it's, 17 years later, half of my life later, and the thing that I remember about the book is the feeling. I remember this feeling of reckless abandon, right? This feeling that you can go out and conquer the world. And that is a great example of a theme. So theme, a lot of times we use the word theme to mean something very different. A lot of times we use the word theme to mean the look and feel of the controls in your application, right? We say we've themed an application. I'm actually talking about something very, very different here. When I talk about a theme for an application, the thing that I'm trying to describe is this. It's a recurrent concept, and this is maybe the key word, essential, or an essential idea that unifies a design, right? So I'll give you a sec to take that in. So this is the theme is something that is essential. It's the thing that you do not want people to forget. Everybody who interacts with this design that you're creating, whether it's an application or a website or graphic design or whatever, you want them to come away with this thing, the theme. And the more powerful the theme is, the more unified your design will be. And unity is a strong goal that we have as designers, right? When you unify something, it means that you've done a great job managing those relationships between the elements of the design. And the strength in doing that is that people begin to comprehend the intentions of the design, right? So if you can unify a design, you're going to make a stronger design. Now, the thing that is a little bit difficult about a theme is themes make a lot of sense if you're building, I don't know, like it's easy for like websites or for like, there's certain things that lend themselves really, really well to a theme because it's got a clear message and you understand what it's trying to do. Books have great themes. Things that tend to tell stories tend to have really strong and good themes. But there's a lot of applications where it's hard to figure out what your theme is, right? And so I wanted to play a little game with you today. This is called Find That Theme, and it is a game of finding things that should be easy to find. So that sounds like it would be very straightforward. I think you guys will be very good at it, except for the fact that sometimes it's kind of hard to identify a theme. And we're going to take some examples that I think are actually sort of tough. Now, exciting news for you. This game has been sponsored by Kazaml. And our sponsor has graciously given us prizes. Now, some of you may remember that last year I attempted to partner with Coca-Cola, and we came up with the Kazaml branded Coke, right? Now, I'm sad to tell you that this is the last Kazaml branded Coke. Coke didn't get back to me on the partnership. Not heard back from my contact there. His name is Info. So still waiting for a return on that email. This is the last one. So there's one Kazaml branded Coke left. Somebody will be the proud owner of the Kazaml branded Coke. But I have good news, which is that we've got a contingency plan. So somebody told me that it might not be a good idea to continue to promote Kazaml by sticking stickers on the Coca-Cola can and calling it a Kazaml branded Coke. So I've got a new strategy, one that I think actually is good for Coke and still good for Kazaml, and that is the Coke branded Kazaml sticker. So if anybody's interested in getting a Coke branded Kazaml sticker, those will also be prizes. So I don't see how they can be upset. I'm promoting their brand through the Kazaml sticker. So, okay, so winners of this, and the way you win this, by the way, is you think the same thing that I thought. So I'm going to give you an application, and if you can tell me what I thought, then you're right. How's that? I'm the one with the mic, though, so that's how it works. Okay, Office Toolbar. Who thinks they can identify the theme of the Office Toolbar? What was that? Desperation. If nobody has a better answer, I'll give you that one because it's pretty close to what I came up with, actually. Anybody else want to try to make that more concrete? No, that's less concrete. So we're going to call the theme of Office Toolbar helps you find features you didn't know were there. Now, think about that. Anybody who interacts or has heard anything about the Office Toolbar, or anybody who tried to create the Office Toolbar, you know there was a big design process